Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting tutorial. This is Ajulam here. Thank you so much for coming around, and if you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Consider subscribing and turn on the bell icon so that I get notified whenever I post new videos. So for today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to make a stylish wedding party dress for a year-old baby girl. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Using my satin, my lining and my net. If you like, you can also add a little hard net. So I'm going to start by drafting out the pattern. Quickly drafted out part of a basic bodice. Now you can see I didn't add the neckline because it will not be necessary for this tutorial. So now when you have your basic bodice drafted out this way, all you need to do is to determine the strap, okay, and where you want this part to be. Okay, now for the strap, you can decide how many inches you want your strap to be, because we're going to add strap to this dress together with the net. So now from this neck width here, you can decide how many inches you want your strap to be. So for me, I'll be making it 1.5. By the time I finish sewing it, I will end up having 1.25 or 1 inch because I want it very small. So this is 1.5 here. I'm going to note that point. Okay, this is where my strap will come in. So now the next thing to do is from this point I'm going to come up by 1.5 inches. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you want, you can also make it 1.75 if you don't want it too low, but I'm okay with 1.5, which is at this point. Okay, so I'm going to connect it, okay, down to this chest line here, or the armhole line here. So you can use your free hand and just connect, or you can also use your ruler and connect. Alright, this is what I have. I just connected it. Here you can just play with it, decide how you want this front part to be. So I am okay with this. As you can see, it's not too high and it's not too low. So the next thing to do is to mark out the strap. Okay, now for you to mark out the strap, you need to check whatever you have on the neck width. You need to bring it down to this point. So here I use 2.25 and I will bring it down here. This is 2.25. Then I'm going to connect. This is now the strap that I'll be using, but when you want to cut out, you make sure that you cut out together with your sewing allowance. And I said we'll be using 1.5. Okay, so that is the point there. I'll just connect it straight to this one here. Okay, so now this is the strap. This is where the net is going to cover this strap. It will not be visible. So this is our strap now. So when cutting, I am going to cut this way. Now this part is no longer needed. This part is not needed, as well as these parts. So now cutting it, this is how you cut. Okay, so I'll start from this side and cut. Okay, and remember, for this pattern I've added my sewing allowance already. Okay, then for this you just cut out your strap, which is here. It's as easy and simple as that. Okay, so this is the strap. This is how it's going to be. This is how the front is going to be. Now if you don't want it pointy, you can just remove the sharpness there. I think I'll remove that sharpness there. Okay, you can also make it straight. Okay, but I'm okay with what I have here. So this is how the front will look. Okay, by the time you add your strap, you are good to go. So I'm going to cut out the back now so that we can place this on my fabric and then we start sewing. So here is the back pattern. Now you can see I have my bodice length and my 1 inch for zipper allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out the neck width which we're working with, and that is 2 1/4, and I'll also bring it down here. Okay, so for this back now there's no need of coming up because this is the back, so we are going to be cutting it off from this back line. Okay, so now this is the shoulder measurement, which is 4, that is 8 divided by 2. I'm just going to mark that and connect. Alright, this is it after connecting, and this is my 1/2 inch for the shoulder slope. Okay, this 1/2 inch for the shoulder slope is very important so that the dress can sit very well on the baby's shoulder. So now the next thing to do, I'm going to connect this line now. Okay, so this is the strap. Now I'm going to mark out. Remember that we're using 1 1/2 inch for the strap, so I'll just keep on marking it out. This is 1 1/2, and then I'll connect. Now we have the strap ready. So after that, I'll just come up by 1/2 inch on the waist line, and we're almost done with the back pattern. So this is 1/2 inch. I'll just mark out the waist measurement, which is 20 divided by 4, and that is 5. Okay, now I'm going to mark this. Sorry, I'll connect it to that end. Okay, and we are almost done with this part. Okay, so now the next thing to do is to mark out the chest measurement. Okay, I am using 5 1/4. Then you add your sewing allowance. I'm adding 1/2 inch. Okay, you can add whatever inch you preferred using as your sewing allowance. So after that, I'll just connect. Okay, now it's time to cut out the back pattern. Okay, so I'm going to cut now. This is what we're going to use for the back side, and this is the strap. Now you can see that it's easy and simple to make or to draft these parts of this dress. Okay, so I'll just go ahead now and place on my fabric so that we can start the sewing. Cut everything out, both the front and the back. So we're going to start with the strap. So I'll take, as you can see, one is short, which is the front one, and the long one is the back one. So we're going to join the shoulders together, and I will repeat the same on the other one. Okay, and then I'm going to sew because I also use this same satin as the lining. So I'm going to sew the lining as well, and then we'll close the side and then turn it inside out. So here I have the shoulders joined together, and I did the same on my lining. This is the front. This is what I'm going to use as my lining. So I'm going to open it up now and place this over it. Okay, this should be for this side. So I'm going to place it over now like this, and then I'm going to close the sides together and then turn it inside out. I just finished sewing the sides and then I turn it inside out. I just give it a little press. So now I'm going to take the one that will be in the front, which is this. Okay, and then I will take my pattern now. It will help me to notch where we used as the neck width point. So this is the point there. I am going to notch that point and also turn my fabric the other way and notch it on this other end. And I'll also repeat the same for this back pattern. So I'm going to do all the notches now so that we can place the strap and sew them in. Alright, here I just gave them notches here and there, and this is my strap. So I'm going to take this part that is shorter. Remember, this shorter part is the one that will face the front. So I'm going to keep it now and then secure it on this end, and I'll also place this one and secure as well before we'll now join it with the back side. So I just sew in my strap, and then I will go ahead and take, this is one I'll be using as the lining. I'll just place it over now as it is and sew it all the way down to this end. And if you like, you can also top stitch. If you like, you can also leave it. So let me just go ahead and sew that so we can turn and sew the back side. Here it is after stitching it all the way down to this side. I'm going to turn it now and give it a little press before we continue. So this is it after giving it a little press. Now this is the one for the back. This is the front. I will just turn this over now. This is the back. So I'm going to secure, I'm just repeating what I did on this front side. So I'll secure this here, secure this other one here, and then place the lining on top and then run a straight stitch, and then I'll top stitch and give it a little press before we now add the net to this front side. So here it is. I just join with the lining. So I'm going to turn it now and give it a little press before we add our net. So here it is after giving it a little press. So I'm going to take my net now. Here I have 5 yards. So I'm going to cut out 1 yard from these 5 yards. That is what we're going to work with, the upper part. So I'm going to cut out 1 yard. So here I have my 1 yard. I just divided that 1 yard into 2. So this is 18 inches each. I'm going to use one as the band, a kind of band, and this will be the ruffles that you're seeing in the front. So for this now, go ahead and divide that into 2 because I'll be using this for both sides. So here it is. I just divided this into 2. I'm going to use one now. So I'll fold this now over. Alright, here I just folded it over, as you can see. So it's time to mark out the length that we're working with. So I'll take this front that we are through and check what I have here. And I'm supposed to have 14.5 to 15 inches because I added the bodice length is 7, meaning we should have, okay, so this is 14 3/4. That is what we have here, has the length for both the front and back. So now I am going to mark out the same 14 3/4 on my net. Alright, here I just marked out the bodice length that we're working with. So I decided to make it 15 inches. So I'm going to cut it out so that we can do the gathers. For this part, we're going to do a little gather to it before we now join it on the front one. So I'll open it up now, and then I'm going to use my gather stitch and run it all the way down to this end, and I will repeat the same on this second one. And whatever you do here, you need to repeat the same for this other one that will be on the other side. So let me just go ahead and do all the ruffles so that we can join it on the dress. I just gather the both ends and then pull it together. Okay, so I'm going to take what I'll be using to make a little band, and this is what I have here. This is the band that we're going to use to hold it on the shoulder point. Okay, so now this is what I have here. I just cut out a little pieces. This is alright, here is 10 inches wide and this is 7 inches. So this is 10 inches by 7 inches. I'm going to fold it over now, and then I'll run a straight stitch all the way down, and I'll repeat the same on this second one. So here it is. After sewing it, you need to turn it inside out, and when you finish turning it inside out, you need to open it up and give it a press. Okay, so here I have this, and now you can see that the line is at the center. Okay, so I'm going to place it this way now and use my iron to straighten it a bit before we now close it up. So here it is after giving it a press. Now this is the side that is that's the line on the center. So now you need to close it up and stitch it on this end. After sewing it, you now open it and check if whatever you have is okay for you. So I'm going to do this to the other one as well before we now join it on this net. Alright, so this is what I have here. I just close this up and then you just turn it inside out. It's as easy and simple as that, and your bow is ready to be used. Okay, so here I have a little strap that I'll be using to secure the bow. I just cut out exactly what I did here. The only difference now is that this is very small. So now I'll go ahead and take my net now. Alright, here I have my net, so I'll go ahead now and place it the way I want it to be. So this is where it should come in, and this is the front. Remember, this is the back side. So now all I'm going to do is to use my chalk and mark the center of this shoulder that we have here. So I'm going to just mark, trace it out on my net. This is the center. Okay, so I'm going to follow that line now. That is where I'll be adding my my bow. As you can see, I have it ready here, and it's very easy. I'm going to show you with the second one how to make it this way. So now let me take this out now, and then I will just hold it on that center line like this. It's very easy. You just hold and then adjust it, making sure that everything is okay. All right, so on that point now, that is where I'll be sewing in my bow. So I'm going to take my bow now, place it there and sew it in right there to secure it very well. So now at this point, you use your hand with your needle and stitch it in the way that you're okay with. So this is what I have after sewing it in. It's just a light sewing. I'll now go ahead and join it on this waistline separately before I will now secure it very well to this strap here. Alright, after joining the waist area, this is how it looks, and remember that this place is still open and I left my needle. So at this point now, I am going to take my needle and secure it very well and clean on that shoulder line here. Now you can see that we are almost done with this part. Then whatever I did here, I am going to repeat for this other side before we now add the second net that we'll be placing here as the band, kind of band. So before we now add it here, so let me just quickly finish this part so we can finish up this dress. have the two sides done, so I will take the other half yard that we left and divide into two also. Okay, so I'm going to divide this into two. So here it is, I just divided that into two as well. Okay, so I'm going to open this one up now and check whatever I have here. This is what we're going to mark out on this net. So here it should be 12, or rather 11. Okay, it's 11 inches because I use half inch on both sides as my sewing allowance. So this is 11 inches. So I'm going to mark out or cut out 11 inches from this. Okay, I am just folding it for easy cutting. All right, here it is. I just folded for easy cutting. So I'm going to mark out 11 inches. Okay, this is 11 inches here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make it 12 because most time when you finish gathering it, the net tends to reduce. So let me just make it 12. Okay, and then I'm going to cut it off straight. Then I will now gather the sides the same way I did for the other one that we just finished joining. So I'll just cut this off now. This is what I'll be using to make my that is the part that is going to look like a band, but we're using net. So we're going to gather these sides now together. Okay, and at the end of the day we'll have something that looks like this, and then we'll join it on the front one. So I'm going to cut out another one for the back because this should be in the front and also at the back as well. But for the back I'll add my extra 2 inches which I use for my zipper allowance for the back. So I'll just, instead of 12, I'll be cutting out 14 inches for the back and also gather it as well. So here it is. As you can see, I just gathered that and pull, and I gave it a slight press so that it will flatten up. Now before you gather, you need to fold. You know, one edge of the net is straight like that. Okay, this is the side, so you need to fold it in, okay, so that it will be inside by the time you place it on your dress. Okay, so you need to let it be inside so that this rough edge will not be visible. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and place it now. This is it here. So I'm going to place it on it, making sure to leave my half inch sewing allowance here. So I will just place it right there now. Okay, and then you can now fold or make it the size you want. If you want it little, if you want it bold, it's up to you. You decide how you want it, and then secure it only on the sides together. And I will repeat the same for the back one. So after joining it, this is what we have. As you can see, we are through with this upper part. So the only thing left now is to join the sides together. Okay, so I'll just open it up this way now and then join the sides together. Okay, then after joining the sides together now, I'm going to cut out our net, which we're going to use for the lower part. So I'll just stitch this and also do the same on the other end. So this is what it looks after joining the sides together. This is the front and this is the back. Okay, so I'm going to keep this aside now and take the net that we're going to use for the lower part of this dress, and then I will just fold for easy cutting. So this is my 4 yards. I will just go ahead now and fold it before cutting out. My 4 yards folded for easy cutting. So I'll go ahead and cut off these rough edges. I don't want these parts to be showing, so I'll just cut it off now. And the length of the lower part is 11 inches. So I'm going to cut out 11 inches into 3 because I'll be adding the 3 together and then use my gather stitch to run it through. So let me just mark out. This is 11, but remember that you need to add your half inch for your sewing allowance, making it 11.5. So I'll go ahead now and mark that out and cut out 3 pieces of it. Alright, here I have my 3 panels cut out. This is the second and this is the third one. So I'll open it up now and join the 3 together. Then I'll use my gather stitch and run it through and pull it as well till I have my waist measurement. So here it is. After sewing and gathering it, here I have the waist measurement I'm working with. So I'm going to keep this aside, and here is my satin. So now this satin, you know, the height of this one is by 60 inches. This is by 60 inches. So I'm going to cut out, I'll use it like that, and then I'll cut out the length, which is 11 inches. I'll be using 11 inches for this. By the time you roll hem and take off your ½ inch for the waist sewing allowance, it will be very short, which is okay. So I'm going to cut out 11 inches now and also gather it as well and pull till I have the actual waist measurement I'm working with, and then I will join the 2 of them together. So here it is after joining it together with my lining. This is it. Okay, and this is the front side. So I will go ahead now and take, this is the upper one. I'm going to open it up now, as you can see, and join it together on the waistline. Okay, so I'll just sew it straight till I get to this other end. So here it is after joining it with the lower part. Now you can see that the dress is already looking so nice. So this is how the back looks. All that is left now is for you to join your lining here, and then you close and add your zipper to it and also your bow. Okay, so that is it for today, and I believe you learned 1 or 2 things from today's tutorial. So guys, see you all soon.